So when I was doing my undergrad at the University of Utah, I wanted to be a real doctor. And I just very quickly realized that I didn't love when I shadowed doctors. And it was at that same time then, as a senior in an undergraduate biomechanics class, that I just really fell in love with the topic of biomechanics. And so it kind of merged together two worlds that I loved. If like the body and math got married, they would birth biomechanics. Golf biomechanics was at least something in the back of my head that I wanted to be a part of my career down the road. And so I'm incredibly fortunate. We have one of the most state-of-the-art, technologically advanced golf biomechanics labs around. And so we do quite a few golf projects in our lab. I've been fortunate to work with our men's and women's golf team here and their coaches and their trainers to analyze those players' movements and find ways that we can help them train better, potentially reduce risk for injuries, and help them swing a golf club faster, which is kind of everyone's goal. And so being able to have professional players come to the lab and kind of have some of those experiences has been a really fun part of my career the last few years. The other things we do in our biomechanics labs, and this one here is like our gait lab, we'd call it. And so in here we have a treadmill that actually has force plates inside of it. We have force plates on the ground. And so this is where we do a lot more of our running, kind of sports performance other than golf, any kind of jumping or landing. This semester we're doing a study on yoga biomechanics, weightlifting biomechanics in females, which is a really under-researched population. And so really the more static stuff where you're not hitting a ball tends to happen in this lab. In the world of biomechanics, it used to be that you had to come to a lab like mine here at the university that costs hundreds of thousands of dollars to collect any kind of biomechanical data. And now what's happening is technology does advance so quickly. Things like camera systems in your phone where you could build a skeleton off a single iPhone or Android phone model and start to measure things. I've seen people even try and measure ground reaction forces, without a $25,000 force plate with some video images. And I'm excited that my students are going to have that ability. Many of my students will be clinicians in the future. And what will happen is athlete or individual will show up and they have to be able to assess them in simple ways with whatever technology they're doing and then build a plan around kind of what the data says. But it's important that they understand what is still good data and what's improper data. And so I try and spend a lot of my class helping them understand what movement really looks like, what they should be looking for quality data. And then frankly, I'll bring these new technologies into class and just say, hey, what stands out to you that makes a lot of sense versus what questions do you have? And then we can talk through those processes and help them be ready to use the new technology. I think if we're afraid of the advancements in technology, we're going to get passed up by someone who's not afraid and can use it to make them a better healthcare provider. Yeah, my students are my number one why. Sorry. I think they're so impressive. I think what they do, what they deal with, they're just things I didn't have to deal with as an undergrad. I had a scholarship, I lived with my parents. I didn't have to worry about how I was gonna pay rent or how I was gonna work 30 hours and balance classes and things like that, right? So as I've gotten to know the student body here, man, it's just rare to find someone who doesn't have a lot on their plate. I feel like it's my duty to just give them the best chance to be successful. And I think the best way for them to be successful is these engaging opportunities where they want to be in your classroom, where they feel that you don't just care about the topic, but you care about them, you care about their success. And those are probably the things that I've become the most proud of at the end of a semester, is if a student will say, like, it just felt like you really cared about us. And I think when they see you trying really hard to create fun content, practical applications and things like that, then they know how invested you are in them, right? Versus just the standard, here's the lecture, I'm gonna read from the lecture slides, I'll see you tomorrow. And selfishly, it makes it more fun for me, but I think it's the only way that we can help students to engage and be successful now, and then I think also prepare them to be successful as they leave UVU and head out to careers or graduate schools.